Hello, welcome to my first tutorial in the Bernina Cutwork software, and you might be a bit surprised that I've actually got CorelDRAW open, CorelDRAW Essentials, because I've created this little Halloween bat. Seeing Halloween's not that far away now and you're probably in preparation for that, and I'm going to use this graphic in the Cutwork software to create a stencil or rubber stamp, so that you can make a stamp out of this and stamp away to your heart's content. And on my website I'll have a photograph of the stamp, and I will also have some other information, so please visit there and into the blog article and you'll be able to find out the more information. There'll be a link in the description. Okay, now I'll just minimize the CorelDRAW for a moment, and here is our Bernina Cutwork software. Now when we want to bring a graphic in, we usually go new, or when you open your software this will come up, and you've got a choice here of whether you want to get the graphic from file or from embroidery. If you bring an embroidery in, it will treat it a bit like a graphic in that it will find the outlines, so it's not going to actually be editable as an embroidery in this software. You can also get an image from your scanner or from your webcam or start a new graphic. Now I saved that bat as a CMX file, and so I thought I could bring it in from file and browse to it. And it was in my Halloween folder and CMX, and I opened it and it came up here, and then I went to next and I got this import from file failed or cannot open new window. Now if this comes up, I don't know why, because CMX was one of the listed formats that you could bring in, but I don't know why this happens, but I found a way around it. So instead of, if you find a graphic that won't open through the from file option, then come down to new graphic. Okay, and what you can do is go back to your software where the picture's open. So I'll just bring CorelDRAW up again. Okay, so I've got my graphic here in CorelDRAW, and I'm going to edit, select all objects, and so the whole thing's selected, and I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. Okay, now I can close or minimize the CorelDRAW, and in my new graphic, when I go next, and set the fabric finish, it will open up with the hoop I've chosen. In this case I've chosen a very small hoop, an 80 by 80, but you can choose whatever hoop you like from this hoop icon here. You can have any of the Bernina hoops, or you can create your own hoop if you like, and I did create my own hoop here by adding new, and you can input your dimensions, the width, the height of the hoop, and if you've got rounded corners on your hoop you can round the corners, and you can see they've rounded here. If not, you can leave it square, and you can decide where you want these little hoop bracing arms. If you want them, it doesn't really matter, they don't affect the process in any way whatsoever. When you've finished, just click add when you've got all your details in, and it will give the hoop a name, and it will add the hoop there. I'm just going to close that because I'm not going to save any changes, and okay with that hoop. Alright, now I've got my hoop in place, and all I'm going to do is come up here and I can paste my graphic in, and here it is. So that's a quick way of getting a graphic in, and it will bring in a few more formats other than those listed. So if you're having trouble getting your graphic in, if it still doesn't bring it in with the paste, it means it's not compatible at all, and you'll have to find a new format for that graphic. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit big for my hoop, so I'm going to adjust the size. It is selected because it has the blue box around it and the pink line around the graphic with the little nodes, where it's automatically traced that graphic for me. And it's traced the little eyes as well. And what I'm going to do is resize it by grabbing that corner handle and dragging it down, and it will resize proportionately. When I've resized it, I can move it into the middle of the hoop, and I can see I can go a little bit bigger. And that's it, fine, in the middle of the hoop. Okay, so the hoop size helped me size the graphic to the size I wanted it, but it also tells you here on each of the two sides the actual size in millimeters. Okay, once I've done that, it's really easy to convert this to a stamp or a stencil, because with a stamp or a stencil, all you're going to be doing is cutting through your material. In this case, I'm going to use a sheet of foam, the sort you get from craft shops, and so it's about a quarter of an inch thick, if that, for those of you in imperial measurements, or 3 or 4 millimeters thick, and it's very soft and very easy to cut, and I'll show you more about that on the website. Now I'm going to right click while this is selected. If it's not selected, you have a select tool up here, or you have a couple of select tools. You've got your rectangle selection or your lasso selection, and they work just like in any other program. With the rectangle, you'll drag your rectangle around. With the lasso, you'll draw around the area you want to select. Okay, so all I'm going to do is right click once it's selected, and I'll get all these options here. And the only option I'm interested in at the moment is the auto border and cut. So I'm going to left click on that, and I want to cut to the outside of the graphic, but I'm not going to create any distance here. I want to basically cut right on the line of the graphic, and all I want is a cut, and I don't want any stitching because I'm going to just cut this out of foam. And I'm going to go OK. And you'll see that a net will appear, if I zoom in the area that is going to be cut. So I'm going to have a cut out shape of the bat, and its eyes are going to be cut away as well. And this will make a great little stamp for Halloween cards, or on Halloween bags, or just if your kids are doing Halloween projects and they're creating some artwork, a few little homemade stamps can add some pizzazz to their work. Okay, now when the software brings the graphic in, it automatically creates the line of stitching. If I zoom right in, and actually before I zoom in, I'll click off so it's not selected, and if I zoom right in, you can actually just see a line of stitching here, and that's been created automatically by the software. Now we don't want the stitching at all, so we're going to delete that, and the easiest way to delete it is to come over to your sequence manager. Now if your sequence manager is not showing up, just come up to view and come down to sequence manager and make sure that box is checked. Okay, and then you should have your sequence manager here on the workspace, and you can see that the first thing is going to be that line of stitching. Let me just move this window across a bit so we can actually see that. There we go. So the first line of stitching is stitching, and you can see it's number 1, and it's got a 0 here, or a circle. And then number 2 is the cut. It's got number 2, and then it's got a pair of scissors indicating that it's going to be cutting. So we don't want the stitching, so we're going to select that, and we're just going to hit our delete key on our keyboard, and that's gone. And now all we've got is a cut. And that's all there is to
making stencils or rubber stamps. Starting with a good graphic, and graphics are difficult to find, that's why the good ones that you can use for the purpose. So you need to learn how to use some of the basic drawing programs. If you have your version 6 or Designer Plus or Editor Plus, you have the Corel Draw Essentials with that. You may have other drawing programs that you can use. If you're not familiar with those, using those, I am going to be putting up a few videos on those as well, on the Corel Draw Essentials as well, so that will help you. But also these graphics, this bat and some other Halloween graphics will be available for sale if you'd just like to buy the graphics and get straight into it from my website. Okay, now what you need to do is to save this or send it to your machine, and you have options up the top here of saving or exporting. Now if you're going to export, if you have a Bernina machine, let's left click on that and you'll come up with the options of what you want to export to, whether you're going to export to your Deco, to your USB stick, to your Auroras that use the EC on PC, or whether you have one of the older machines that use a serial port. So just click on the appropriate icon and it will take you through the steps of saving that. So for example, the USB stick, and it can't locate the stick because I don't have one in there. So you need to plug your USB stick in and then press OK and it will continue on. It's as simple as that. I'm just going to cancel out of that. I'm going to save this because I want it in a different format. So if you don't have a Bernina machine, you can still use the Bernina Cutwork software. You just need to save it to the format that you want to use. Now I've gone save, and the only options in save, sorry, beg your pardon, so I've gone save, and then with the drop down menu I can go down and find the options I want. For instance, if you have a Husqvarna or a FAF, you can save it as a VIP. So select that, and then in here we can just type the title. I'm just going to write BAT. It will automatically add the extension on for me when it saves, and I'm going to put it into my Halloween folder that I have already created. So all I need to do is save, and then I can take that to my machine. Oh, in this case it does give me two options here. I'll just go the generic and go OK. And it says file save successful, so I can now use that file in a FAF or a Husqvarna machine. It's as simple as that. Now in the next video I'll actually video it drawing out, but the other thing you will need, cutting out on the machine, the other thing you will need for your process of cutting is to print out the order of the needles. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So your chart for needle changes is very easy to obtain. All you need to do is go File, Print, and I'm just going to shrink this so it does actually fit on your screen. Sorry about that. Okay, and this side. Right, you should be able to see that whole page now. And on the print preview page, you get a preview obviously of what you are going to create, and you'll get a picture here of your design. Up here it's telling you what the 4 knives are, so that's basically a header. In here it's the order of the knives. Down here you've actually got a picture of which bits are going to cut with which knives, and the knives are underneath them. And you've got other sorts of information, and all that information is defined by which of these boxes over here are checked. So for instance, if you don't want to print the hoop out, you can uncheck that box and the hoop will disappear. You can take the fabric out if you don't want the fabric. You're still left with a template. So long as you leave the scale at 100%, you will have a 100% template of the size of your design. Other things you can remove the header. I'll just put that back. You can also remove the color changes. You can remove the sequence icons from down the bottom. And information, orientation, company name. So if you don't want the printout by Bernina Cutwork to read that at the top, you can remove that. There's quite a lot binder space, so it's actually automatically left some space, so you can put this into a folder, a ring bound folder. If you don't need that, then you can remove that as well. There's all sorts of stitch count, start point, etc. All those can be personal choices there of what you would like to actually print on your sheet. And when you're ready, you can just go OK, and it will print out on your printer. Thanks for watching. This has been a very basic starting video. As I said, in future videos I'll show you actually how it cuts out, and also we'll take this same bat graphic and turn it into an applique. Thank you.